I'm Emily, 34. 3 weeks ago, I discovered my own mother excluded me from her 60th birthday party happening that weekend. The worst part? I had already given $700 to my sister Amber, who asked to help with Mom's special birthday dinner. I didn't scream. I didn't break down. Instead, I called the jewelry store and canceled the $4,200 diamond necklace order that hadn't shipped yet. When my mom called crying after Amber told her about the gift that wouldn't arrive, I simply watched the phone ring until it stopped. Since then, the only present she's been getting is silence. Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments below and hit that like and subscribe button if you've ever felt betrayed by your own family. You'll definitely want to stick around for what happened next. To understand how we got here, we need to go back in time. I grew up in a family of 4 in suburban Chicago. My parents, me, and my younger sister Amber. From early on, there was a clear double standard in our house. While I had to work at 16 to buy my own car, my sister got a brand new one at 17. When I needed help with college, I heard that paying my own loans would build character. Amber? My parents paid every cent of her Yale education. Don't get me wrong. I love my family. For years, I told myself it was just my perception, that maybe I was being oversensitive. After all, I was the first to leave home, the first to have a stable job, the strong one, who didn't need as much help. I kept showing up to every birthday, every holiday, every family emergency, always bringing gifts and offering unconditional emotional support. From ages 22 to 34, I sent roughly $30,000 to help my parents with various needs, from medical bills to financing the car my mom currently drives, which I purchased last year when her old one finally broke down. Meanwhile, Amber, now a corporate attorney making 6 figures annually, rarely contributed financially but was always the perfect daughter in their eyes. The pattern was clear, but I refused to see it. You're just imagining things, I'd tell myself, while watching my parents fawn over Amber's minor accomplishments, while barely acknowledging my promotion. They love us equally, I'd repeat as I wrote another check to help with their expenses, while Amber bought herself a luxury vacation. Family is everything, I'd whisper as I drove 2 hours each way to help them with household repairs, while Amber was too busy to call. Last Christmas, I spent 3 weeks planning the perfect family dinner. I cooked for days, decorated the house, bought thoughtful gifts for everyone. 15 minutes before dinner, Amber called to say she couldn't make it. Some last-minute work thing. My parents immediately suggested we reschedule. Not just dinner, the entire Christmas celebration. We can't have Christmas without the whole family, my mother said, already removing her coat. I stood there, surrounded by cooling food and perfectly wrapped presents, realizing I wasn't considered the whole family. Still, I smiled and agreed. What else could I do? 2 months later, my father needed emergency dental surgery. The bill came to $3,200. Guess who they called? Not their high-earning lawyer daughter. Me, the reliable one, the emotional ATM. Of course I'll help, I said, transferring the money immediately. My husband James watched this cycle repeat for years. When will you realize they're using you? He asked gently one night after I'd spent hours on the phone talking my mother through using her new smartphone, the one I had bought her for her birthday. They're not using me, I insisted. That's what family does. We help each other. But deep down, I was beginning to wonder if the help only flowed in one direction. Even with this history, I continued trying to earn their love and approval. 2 years ago, when my mom was diagnosed with arthritis, I started visiting every Sunday without fail. I brought home-cooked meals, cleaned their house, and began transferring $450 monthly to help with her medications. I sent the money directly to her account at the beginning of each month. My husband, James, frequently questioned why I kept trying so hard for people who didn't reciprocate. They're my family, I always responded. What else am I supposed to do? But honestly, James's questions had started resonating with me in recent months. Small incidents were piling up. For each of my mother's birthdays, I tried harder. Last year, I saved for months to take her to a luxury spa for a weekend getaway. She canceled at the last minute because Amber invited her to lunch. A 2-hour lunch replaced our planned weekend. You understand, dear, my mother explained. I don't see Amber as much as I see you. I swallowed the rejection, as I always did, and we rescheduled, though it never happened. The day after that canceled spa trip, I sat in my car outside their house for 20 minutes, trying to compose myself before going in for my usual Sunday visit. My phone dinged with a notification. Amber had posted photos of her lunch with Mom. They were laughing, champagne glasses raised in a toast. "Best mom ever," read the caption. I wiped away a tear and fixed my makeup. Then I plastered on a smile and walked in with groceries and homemade soup. "Emily, you're late today," my mom remarked, not getting up from her favorite chair. Sorry, traffic was bad, I lied, unpacking the groceries I'd brought. Did you remember the special cream cheese I like? She asked. I had. I always did. That evening when I got home, James took one look at my face and opened his arms. I collapsed into them, finally letting the tears flow. She didn't even thank me, I whispered. Not for the groceries, not for cleaning their bathroom, not for anything. Maybe it's time to set some boundaries, he suggested. I nodded but didn't commit. Setting boundaries meant confrontation, and confrontation meant potential rejection. The thought terrified me more than the slow drain on my emotional and financial resources. So I continued the Sunday visits, continued the monthly transfers, continued pretending that someday, if I just gave enough, did enough, was enough, they would finally see me. 2 months ago, I overheard my mother on the phone with her friend. It's so nice having Emily visit. She's such a help with the housework and groceries. Amber's too busy with her important job to do those things. Just a help with the housework. That's all I was to her. That night, I talked to James about cutting back on my visits, maybe every other Sunday instead of weekly. But when Sunday came, guilt pulled me back to their doorstep, arms loaded with groceries and freshly baked bread. Boundaries are for people who don't love their families, my mother once said when I tried to explain why I couldn't come over on a Wednesday night after working a 12-hour day. I believed her. But slowly, that belief was cracking. If you've ever been taken for granted by the people who should value you most, give this video a like. Trust me, what comes next will make your jaw drop. 3 weeks ago, during my Sunday visit, I noticed my parents were evasive about plans for Mom's upcoming 60th birthday the following weekend. When I directly asked how I could help with preparations, my mother smiled tensely and said, "Oh, we're not doing anything special. Maybe just a quiet family dinner." The next day at work, I received an accidental email from my Aunt Susan. "I'm so excited for your mom's surprise 60th birthday party next Saturday. Amber is organizing everything beautifully. See you there." The email clearly wasn't meant for me, as it was sent to a guest list from which my name was notably absent. I froze. My own sister was organizing a surprise party for our mother and deliberately left me out, even after asking me for money for a special birthday dinner, and knowing I'd mentioned several times in recent months wanting to do something special for her 60th. I took a deep breath and called my mother with an excuse about needing to drop off some documents at her house next Saturday. "Oh, honey, Saturday isn't good. I'll be busy all day." My heart sank. Something special? There was a pause. "No, just commitments. We can see each other Sunday as usual." I hung up, feeling a knot in my stomach. It was time to stop fooling myself. My hands trembled as I set my phone down on my desk. The office around me continued its normal buzz, but I felt like I'd stepped into an alternate reality. How could they exclude me from something so significant? After all I'd done, all I'd given, not just money, but time, attention, care. "Emily, are you okay?" My coworker Diane was staring at me with concern. "Yes, I'm..." The lie died on my lips. "Actually, no. I just found out my family is having a party without me." Saying it out loud made it real, made it hurt more. "That can't be right," Diane said, pulling her chair closer. "There must be some misunderstanding." I showed her the email, watched her expression change from disbelief to anger on my behalf. "This is deliberate," she said finally. "And you mentioned giving your sister money for this?" I nodded, unable to speak. "Emily, I've listened to you talk about your family for years. This isn't the first time they've hurt you?" She was right. There was the time my parents skipped my graduate school graduation because Amber had a minor cold. The Christmas they gave her a car and me a sweater. The countless times they called for financial help without a word of gratitude. "I've been so blind," I whispered. "Not blind," Diane corrected. "Just hopeful. There's a difference." That afternoon, I couldn't concentrate on work. I kept checking my phone, half expecting an explanation, an apology, an invitation. Nothing came. That evening, I made a decision. I'd verify if this was really happening, if I was truly being excluded. I needed to be absolutely certain before taking any action. I stepped outside the building and called my father. "Dad, I was thinking about Mom's birthday this weekend. What time should I come over?" "Oh," he sounded startled. "We're not doing anything special, just a quiet day." Another lie. "Are you sure? No celebration for turning 60? "Well," he hesitated, "maybe a small dinner with just the 4 of us on Sunday. You know your mother doesn't like big fuss." I swallowed hard. "Right. See you Sunday then." I hung up and stared at the setting sun. Something inside me that had been bending for years finally broke. I decided to check Amber's Instagram, and there it was. She was posting stories while buying decorations for a party. Preparations underway for the best 60th birthday. Topper family is everything. Family is everything. Except me, apparently. I tried calling Amber immediately. She didn't answer. I sent a direct message. Saw your Instagram. Why am I learning about Mom's party through Aunt Susan? Why did you ask me for money for something I wasn't even invited to? She read it and didn't respond. I drove to my best friend Lauren's house without even realizing how I got there. When she opened the door, one look at my face was enough. What happened? She asked, pulling me inside. I explained everything, showing her the email and Instagram posts. And the worst part, I added, is that I already gave Amber $700 2 weeks ago when she asked for money, saying it was for a special birthday dinner for Mom. I never imagined I wouldn't be invited to that dinner. Emily, Lauren said, holding my hands, this isn't normal. It's not just rude or careless. It's cruel, and you don't deserve it. It was the first time someone had validated what I'd been feeling for years, that it wasn't just my imagination, that I wasn't overreacting. Lauren guided me to her couch and put a cup of tea in my hands. I stared into it, watching the steam rise. I knew things weren't right, I whispered. I've known for years, but I kept hoping if I just tried harder, gave more. You can't earn love that should be freely given, Lauren said. And you've been trying so hard for so long. She was right. I'd been working overtime at a job with no paycheck, the job of being the perfect daughter to parents who would never see me that way. What hurts most, I continued, is that they're all lying to me. Mom, Dad, Amber. They're coordinating their stories to keep me in the dark, like I'm not even worth the truth. What are you going to do? Lauren asked. I took a deep breath. I don't know yet, but I can't keep doing this. That night, I scrolled through years of photos on my phone, holidays where I'd traveled miles to be with them while Amber showed up late or not at all. My parents beaming beside Amber in her graduation gown, while my own graduation photos showed them checking their watches. Birthday celebrations where my carefully chosen gifts for them sat unopened while Amber's hastily purchased gift cards were exclaimed over. The pattern was undeniable and heartbreaking. I called the jewelry store where I'd ordered my mother's gift, a stunning diamond necklace that cost nearly 3 months of my salary. The customer service representative confirmed it hadn't shipped yet. Would you like to add a note to the package? She asked. Actually, I said, my voice steady, I'd like to cancel the order. There was a pause. Are you sure? This is quite an exquisite piece. I'm sure the recipient isn't who I thought she was. After hanging up, I sat on my bed feeling lighter than I had in years. The decision to cancel the necklace wasn't about revenge. It was about finally acknowledging reality. I couldn't buy my mother's love no matter how many carats I offered. James found me there, staring at my phone. Amber's posting more pictures of party preparations, I told him. Everyone's been invited except me. He sat beside me, his presence steady and comforting. What do you need right now? He asked simply. I need to stop pretending, I answered, and I need to decide what happens next. I spent the night on Lauren's couch, staring at the ceiling. Thoughts and memories swirled in my mind. All the times I was sidelined, all the excuses I made to defend my family. One moment returned with painful clarity, my high school graduation when I won the top student award. While other families took photos and celebrated, my parents seemed impatient. Later, I discovered why. They'd scheduled a celebration dinner for Amber's debate team admission on the same day. My greater achievement was overshadowed by what wasn't even a major accomplishment for Amber. This pattern continued through adulthood. Whenever I had success, attention quickly shifted to whatever Amber was doing. The next morning, with just 2 days until the party, I made a decision I'd been postponing for years. I would no longer be my family's emotional and financial ATM. No more. First, I called the pharmacy where my mother bought her arthritis medications. I explained the situation and prepaid for 3 months of medication. I wanted to set boundaries, not harm her health. Then, I notified the pharmacy manager I wouldn't be renewing after this period. Next, I called the luxury jewelry store where I'd ordered the birthday gift, a diamond necklace that cost almost 3 months of my salary. Fortunately, the order hadn't been processed for shipping, and I could cancel it with just a small fee. Is it for your mother? Asked the attendant kindly. It was, I replied. Finally, I tried calling Amber again. This time, she answered. Why didn't you invite me to Mom's party? I asked directly. There was a pause. I thought you'd be busy. Amber, you literally asked me for money to help with the party without inviting me. It wasn't like that, she responded defensively. You're overreacting, as always. I realized there wouldn't be an honest conversation. Whatever, just know I canceled the gift I was going to give her. What gift? Amber asked, her voice changing. The diamond necklace I ordered a month ago. The silence on the other end of the line said everything. I sat at my kitchen table after hanging up, my heart racing. This was the first time I'd ever directly confronted the situation. For years, I'd swallowed my hurt, made excuses, pretended everything was fine. Now I'd crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. And strangely, it felt right. James came home from work and found me still sitting there, staring at nothing. I canceled the necklace, I told him. And I told Amber I knew about the party. He sat across from me, concern in his eyes. How do you feel? Terrified, relieved, angry, free. All these emotions swirled inside me like a storm. I've spent my entire adult life trying to buy their love, James. Thousands of dollars, countless hours, endless emotional labor. And they couldn't even invite me to a birthday party. He reached across the table and took my hand. What happens now? I don't know exactly, but I know what's not happening. I'm not showing up Sunday pretending everything's fine. I'm not transferring money next month. I'm not being their backup plan anymore. That evening, I wrote everything down. Every slight, every dismissal, every time I'd given and received nothing in return. It filled 5 pages. When I finished, I didn't feel vindictive or vengeful. I felt clear-eyed, maybe for the first time. I also made a list of what I wanted going forward. Not revenge, but respect. Not perfection, but fairness. Not constant access to my resources, but recognition of my value. The next morning, I woke up feeling different, lighter somehow, despite the heaviness of the situation. I looked at myself in the mirror and saw someone I hadn't seen in a long time. The real Emily, not the perfect daughter always striving for approval that never came. Hello again, I whispered to my reflection. I've missed you. In the days leading up to the party, no one from my family contacted me. Amber probably hadn't told anyone about our conversation. I decided not to show up unexpectedly or create a scene. Instead, I would use this time to reflect on what kind of relationship I wanted going forward. On Saturday, the day of the party, I turned off my phone and went with James for a weekend retreat. I needed space to think without the constant pressure of being available for my family. When we returned Sunday night and I turned my phone back on, there were dozens of notifications. James was by my side as I checked the messages. Apparently, the jewelry store had called my mother Saturday morning to confirm the cancellation, not realizing it was the day of the party. Amber, who had mentioned to everyone that I would be giving a special gift, was caught off guard. The first messages were confused. Was there some problem with the gift you mentioned? Then, more direct. The jewelry store said you canceled the order. Did something happen? And finally, a manipulation attempt. We missed you so much at the party. Why didn't you come? Everyone was asking about you. This last one almost made me laugh. If they were really missing me, why hadn't anyone invited me? How could they ask about me when they didn't even know I was supposed to be there? The last message was from an hour ago. Emily, I'm worried. Please call when you can. I decided I would respond tomorrow. Tonight was for me. I couldn't help but feel a certain satisfaction. Not at hurting my mother. That wasn't my intent. But at finally disrupting the pattern that had defined our relationship for decades. For once, I wasn't playing my assigned role of giver, fixer, enabler. They're in shock, James observed, scrolling through the messages. They can't believe you're not following the script. He was right. The script had always been clear. Emily gives, everyone takes. Emily sacrifices, everyone benefits. Emily gets hurt, everyone carries on. What exactly did the jewelry store say to your mom? James asked. I don't know, I admitted. But I'm guessing they mentioned the diamond necklace. We both knew what that meant. My mother now knew exactly what she'd lost through their deliberate exclusion of me. That night, I slept better than I had in months. No anxiety dreams about disappointing my family. No waking up wondering if I'd done enough, given enough, been enough. Just peaceful, restorative sleep. The next morning, I looked at myself in the mirror and saw subtle changes. My shoulders weren't hunched with tension. The worry lines between my eyebrows had softened. I looked unburdened. I dressed with care in a bright blue dress I rarely wore because my mother once commented it was too bold for me. I applied makeup, did my hair, put on jewelry I'd bought myself, small acts of self-care that felt revolutionary. You look different, James said when I emerged. I feel different, I replied. Like I've set down something heavy I've been carrying my whole life. At work, colleagues noticed too. New haircut? Asked Diane. New perspective, I answered with a smile. Throughout the day, my phone buzzed with more messages from my family. I read them but didn't respond. Each message revealed their confusion, their disbelief that I wasn't rushing to explain, apologize, make things right. For the first time, I wasn't managing their emotions. I was honoring my own. After work, I went shopping. Not for gifts for others, but clothes for myself. I bought things I loved without wondering if they would meet with approval. I spent money on myself without calculating how many medications or groceries it could buy for my parents. Small acts of rebellion, small steps toward a new reality. On Monday, I opened my banking app and did something I should have done long ago. Created an investment fund with the money I would normally spend on my family. Self-worth fund. I named it, and James smiled when he saw. I'm proud of you, he said. You've been talking about setting boundaries for at least a year. Maybe this was the push you needed. It was true. This wasn't an impulsive decision based on a single incident. It was the culmination of years of imbalance. The latest in a long list of moments when I was treated as secondary. In the afternoon, the doorbell rang. My mother was at the door. Something rare. She never came to my house without notice. Emily, can we talk? Her voice was soft, eyes red from crying. I let her in, offered water, and we sat in the living room. Yet, why did you cancel my gift? And why didn't you come to my party? I kept my voice calm. I didn't come to your party because I wasn't invited. She seemed genuinely shocked. Of course you were. Amber said she had talked to you. No, Mom. Amber never invited me. I found out about the party through an accidental email from Aunt Susan. When I confronted Amber, she said she thought I would be busy. She hesitated, processing. There must have been a misunderstanding. And what about the necklace? I asked, changing the subject. What? The diamond necklace that Amber told the jewelry store you two would give together? In the photos, you're wearing a new necklace. My mother instinctively touched her neck, where she wore a simple necklace. Nothing like what I had ordered. Amber bought this for me. She said you two had planned something together, but there was a problem. And there it was. Final confirmation. Amber had not only excluded me from the party but also lied about a joint gift. Mom, I didn't plan anything with Amber. I chose a diamond necklace for you, alone. But when I discovered I wasn't welcome at your celebration, I decided my money and affection would be better invested elsewhere. My mother's face went through a series of emotions I'd seen countless times before. She opened her mouth, closed it, then tried again. Surely there's been a misunderstanding, she said weakly. The only misunderstanding, I replied quietly, is that I thought I was valued as a daughter, not for what I could give, but for who I am. She recoiled slightly, as if I'd physically struck her. In all our years of dysfunction, I'd never been this direct. That's unfair, she whispered. We've always loved you. Have you? I asked, my voice steady. Then why am I the only one who gives? Why am I excluded from family events? Why is Amber's word always taken as truth while mine is questioned? Why did you believe her lies without ever checking with me? My mother looked genuinely confused, as if these questions had never occurred to her. We don't. It's not, she stammered. It's okay, I said, feeling a strange calm. You don't have to answer now, but I need you to know something important. Things are changing. I've prepaid your medications for 3 months, but after that, I won't be continuing the payments. I won't be visiting every Sunday. I won't be your emergency fund anymore. Is this punishment for the party misunderstanding? She asked, her voice rising slightly. I shook my head. This isn't punishment, Mom. It's protection. For me. For years, I've given everything I have trying to earn a place in this family. I'm done trying. Either I'm valued for who I am, not what I give, or I need to step back. She looked stunned, as if seeing me for the first time. Maybe she was. I still love you, I said softly. That hasn't changed. But how I express that love is changing. I need to love myself too. My mother left shortly after, confusion and hurt evident in every line of her body. As I closed the door behind her, I felt no triumph, no vindication, just a quiet certainty that for once I had spoken my truth. During the week that followed, my phone didn't stop. My father outraged, demanding I apologize to my mother. Amber sending confusing messages, first denying she had lied, then accusing me of always wanting to be the center of attention. Aunts, uncles, cousins, all with opinions about how I was being dramatic and ungrateful. I only responded to one message, the one from my Aunt Susan. I'm proud of you for valuing yourself, she wrote. It's about time. On Friday, my mother showed up again, this time with my father. We've come for our house keys, he announced. I was confused for a moment, then understood. Years ago, they gave me a key for emergencies. I was the only family member who had one. Of course, I replied, taking my keyring. I removed not just their house key, but also the spare key to the car I had bought for my mother last year. I won't need this anymore either, I said, handing both keys over. You should give them to Amber. She's family after all. The expression on their faces was priceless. That car was a gift, my mother said quietly. You can't just take it back. I'm not taking it back. I'm returning the spare key I kept for emergencies. The car is still yours. Just like the love I feel for you is still real, even if it now comes with boundaries. My father's face reddened. After everything we've done for you, what exactly have you done for me? Dad? I interrupted, my voice still calm. I paid my own way through college. I bought my own first car. I built my career without connections or help. I purchased the car Mom drives. I've paid for medications, home repairs, emergency bills. We raised you, he sputtered. Yes, you did, and I'm grateful for that. But parenting doesn't entitle you to a lifetime of financial support and emotional servitude. They looked at each other, clearly unprepared for this version of me, the one who spoke truth instead of swallowing it. We should go, my mother said finally, pulling my father's arm. Emily is clearly not herself today. Actually, I replied, I'm more myself than I've been in years. After they left, I sat on my couch feeling strangely peaceful. The confrontation I'd feared for so long had happened, and I'd survived. More than survived, I'd stood my ground. James came home and found me there, smiling. They came for their keys, I told him. I gave them back, plus the spare to Mom's car. How did it go? He asked, sitting beside me. They're shocked, confused, angry. But for once, I didn't absorb all those emotions. I just let them feel what they feel. He put his arm around me. That's huge, Em. It is, I agreed. For the first time, I didn't make myself smaller to make them comfortable. I didn't apologize for having needs and boundaries. What do you think happens next? He asked. I leaned against his shoulder. I don't know. Maybe they'll reflect and realize how one-sided things have been. Maybe they'll double down and paint me as the villain. Either way, I'm done playing a role that destroys me, just to maintain their comfort. That night, we ordered takeout and watched a movie. Small pleasures I'd often denied myself because the money could help my parents. As the credits rolled, I realized something profound. I wasn't just setting boundaries with my family. I was reclaiming parts of myself I'd surrendered long ago in the quest for their approval. A month passed. The monthly payments I made stopped, though the medications were guaranteed for 2 more months. The Sunday visits ended. The silence was deafening, but also strangely liberating. Then, on an ordinary Tuesday, I received an email from my father. Attached was a document listing the major expenses he could remember having for me, from limited financial support in college to childhood birthday parties. The approximate total, $40,000. The subject of the email, family contributions. I showed James, who was horrified. They can't be serious, but they were. In the message, my father explained that since I had questioned their love, he wanted to show me how much they had invested in me over the years. It was the last desperate attempt to manipulate me, to make me feel guilty. A year ago, it would have worked. I would have cried, begged forgiveness, promised to help again. Instead, I created my own document, listing each significant contribution I'd made since I started working. The car, the medical bills, the home repairs, the weekly groceries. The approximate total, $55,000, not counting time and emotional support. I replied to the email with my own document. The subject, love isn't quantified, but since you insist. I didn't expect an immediate response, and I didn't get one. When I showed Lauren what my father had sent, she was speechless. They billed you for raising you? She finally asked. I don't even have words. It's actually clarifying, I told her. They see our relationship as transactional. They believe they're owed something for doing what parents are supposed to do. And you? She asked. What do you see? I thought about it. I see years of trying to earn love that should have been freely given. I see myself emptying my bank account and my heart, hoping to buy belonging. That evening, I sat on my patio watching the sunset. For the first time in my adult life, I wasn't anxiously checking my phone for messages from my family. I wasn't calculating what I could sacrifice to help them. I wasn't rehearsing explanations and apologies. I was just present, breathing, being. My phone rang. Amber. After a moment's hesitation, I answered. Did you get Dad's email? She asked without preamble. I did, and I responded. She was quiet for a moment. He's furious. I imagine he is. Truth often has that effect. Emily, her voice softened. This has gone on long enough. Just apologize and things can go back to normal. That's the thing, Amber. I don't want things to go back to normal. Normal was me giving everything and receiving nothing. Normal was me being excluded from family events but expected to finance them. Normal was broken. She sighed dramatically. You're being ridiculous. It was one party. It wasn't just one party, I said quietly. It was a pattern. A pattern I'm no longer participating in. After we hung up, I blocked her number. Not forever, but for now. I needed space to strengthen my resolve without constant attempts to pull me back into old patterns. That night, I dreamed of standing on a cliff edge, my family behind me, a vast unknown ahead. In the dream, I wasn't afraid. I stepped forward into the air and found I could fly. I woke with the sensation of freedom still tingling in my limbs. 6 months passed. The story of my transformation isn't one of revenge or vindication, but of quiet rebuilding. The money I previously spent on my family now went to my investment fund and weekly therapy. I realized years of manipulation and favoritism had distorted my view of love and relationships. Amber tried contacting me several times. In her last message, she finally admitted the truth. "Yes, I lied about having invited you," she wrote. "But I only did it because you always try to impress everyone with your expensive gifts and your perfection. Since we were children, you've always been the exemplary daughter. Perfect grades, stable career, happy marriage. Meanwhile, I'm divorced, in debt despite my salary, and always being compared to you. When Mom turned 60, I finally wanted to be the one giving something special, without you overshadowing everything." The message hit me unexpectedly. All those times I thought Amber was the favorite, she felt exactly as I did. Inadequate, competing for our parents' love. The difference was that she chose to manipulate, while I chose to sacrifice. I replied only, "I hope someday we can talk without competition. There's enough room for both of us to be loved." As for my parents, the silence lasted 4 months. Then I received a card in the mail. Inside, a simple request. "Can we talk?" I met them at a neutral cafe. The conversation was difficult, with many tears and some defenses still raised. But it was a start. We haven't returned to what we were before. That relationship was unbalanced and unsustainable. Instead, we're slowly building something new, based on mutual respect and clear boundaries. I don't pay their bills anymore. I don't visit every Sunday. But when we see each other, it's because we all want to, not because I feel obligated. Over brunch last month, my mother asked about my investment fund. "It's growing," I told her. "I'm saving for a down payment on a rental property." "That's wonderful," she said, and seemed to genuinely mean it. No comment about how I could be helping them instead. No guilt trip, just recognition of my goals. My father is taking longer to adjust. He still occasionally makes comments about how they're managing without my help. But even this is progress. They are managing. Their world didn't collapse when I stopped being their safety net. Last week, Amber and I met for coffee, our first one-on-one conversation in over 6 months. It was awkward, tense at times, but also revealing. "I always thought they loved you more," she admitted. "You were the reliable one, the successful one." "And I always thought they loved you more," I replied. "You were the one they made sacrifices for, the one whose needs always came first." We looked at each other across the table, two women who had spent decades misreading the same situation, both feeling unloved, both reacting in different ways, her through manipulation, me through overgiving. "Maybe," I suggested, "they just didn't know how to love either of us properly." She nodded slowly. "Maybe we didn't know how to love ourselves." It wasn't a perfect reconciliation. We have years of competition and hurt to work through. But it was an honest moment, perhaps our first. The diamond necklace refund? It funded my first solo trip to Europe. The photos are on my Instagram. The sparkle in my eyes is worth much more than any diamond. So if you're watching this and related to my story, I want you to know, setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's self-preservation. Sometimes silence is the most valuable gift you can give to yourself. Because in the end, the only relationship you can't escape is the one with yourself. Make sure it's a relationship of respect, of love, of truth. Where are you in your journey of setting boundaries? Drop a comment below if this story resonated with you, and subscribe for more authentic conversations about family dynamics. Remember, you don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. 1 year after the birthday party incident, I received an invitation in the mail. Cream-colored envelope, formal cardstock inside. My mother's 61st birthday celebration. This time, my name was on the invitation. I stood in my kitchen, turning the card over in my hands, feeling strangely detached. A year ago, this would have meant everything. Validation, inclusion, proof that I mattered. Now, it felt like just an invitation. James found me still standing there. "You don't have to go," he said gently. "I know," I replied, and that knowledge made all the difference. I decided to attend, not out of obligation or hope for approval, but as an autonomous adult making a choice. I bought a modest but thoughtful gift, a first edition of her favorite book. Not a car, not a diamond necklace, just a meaningful present within reasonable boundaries. The party was smaller than last year's affair, just family and a few close friends. When I arrived, there was an awkward moment at the door. No one quite knew how to act around this new version of Emily, who didn't desperately seek approval. "You came?" my mother said, genuine surprise in her voice. "I was invited," I replied simply. Throughout the evening, I noticed subtle changes. My father didn't ask for help with house repairs or hint about financial troubles. My mother didn't monopolize my attention with lists of needs and complaints. Amber still preened and performed, but I could now see it for what it was, her own version of the same desperation I'd once felt. When it came time for gifts, I handed over my carefully wrapped package without grand announcements or expectations. My mother opened it, her eyes widening in recognition. "You remembered," she whispered, running her fingers over the book's worn cover. "Of course," I said. "I listen when you talk." Something passed between us then, a moment of genuine connection, untainted by manipulation or unmet expectations. Later, as I was helping clean up, by choice, not obligation, my father approached. "That investment fund," he said awkwardly. "How's it doing?" "Very well," I replied. "I'm looking at properties next month?" He nodded, seeming to struggle with what to say next. "I've been thinking about what you said, about transactions versus relationships." I waited, giving him space to continue. "Your mother and we didn't have good examples. My father kept score of every penny. Her parents used affection as currency." He looked down at the plate in his hands. "Maybe we've been doing the same without realizing it." It wasn't an apology, not exactly, but it was more self-awareness than I'd ever heard from him. "Awareness is the first step," I said. As I was leaving, my mother walked me to my car. "Next Sunday," she said hesitantly, "would you like to come for dinner?" "Not because you have to. Just, if you want to." I considered it. "I can't do every Sunday anymore. But perhaps once a month?" She nodded, accepting the boundary without argument. Another small victory. Driving home, I realized something profound. I no longer needed them to change to be okay. I'd changed. I'd built a life centered on self-respect rather than external validation. Their evolution, if it continued, was welcome but not necessary for my well-being. That night, I added another entry to the journal I'd been keeping throughout this journey. Today, I sat at a table with the people who hurt me most, and I felt neither the desperate need for their approval nor the burning desire to hurt them back. I just felt myself, present, whole. This is what healing looks like. Not perfect relationships, but perfect clarity about your own worth. The next morning, I received a text from Amber. "Can we talk?" "Really talk?" I responded with a time and place. The work of rebuilding, or perhaps building for the first time, healthy family relationships would be long and uncertain. Some days would be steps forward, others steps back. But for the first time, I was entering this process as an equal, not a supplicant desperate for scraps of affection. James noticed the change in me immediately when I told him about the party. "You're talking about them differently," he observed. "More objectively." He was right. I could now see my family as flawed people with their own wounds and patterns, not as gods with the power to determine my worth. "I'm finally seeing them clearly," I replied. "And myself, too." Today, 2 years after that fateful birthday party exclusion, my life has transformed completely. The self-worth fund grew into a down payment on my first investment property. My weekly therapy sessions have decreased to monthly check-ins. The emotional freedom I've found has translated to professional confidence. I received a promotion I wouldn't have even applied for in my previous people-pleasing life. My relationship with my family has found a new equilibrium. Not perfect, not always easy, but authentically ours. We see each other monthly for dinner, a frequency that feels supportive without being draining. I bring dessert or wine, not checks or credit cards. When financial topics arise, I change the subject. They've learned I'm no longer their safety net. Amber and I have developed something we never had before, an actual sisterhood, not a competition. We still have moments of tension and old patterns occasionally resurface, but we now have tools to recognize and redirect them. Last month, she called me before purchasing an expensive gift for our mother. "Is this about Mom or about proving something?" I asked gently. She was quiet for a moment. "Maybe a bit of both," she admitted. "Old habits." "Buy her something meaningful, not impressive," I suggested. "That's what actually matters." The most profound change, however, is internal. I no longer measure my worth by what I give or how much I'm needed. I've learned to recognize manipulation tactics quickly, not just from family, but in all relationships. I can say no without guilt and yes without resentment. Last week, my mother called with news. She'd started therapy. "I want to understand why I treated my daughter so differently," she said. "I don't want to lose either of you." It was the most honest thing she'd ever said to me. My father is changing more slowly. Old patterns are deeply ingrained, but he no longer sends me itemized lists of expenses or expects financial contributions. Recently, when their water heater broke, they handled it themselves without calling me. A small but significant shift. The journey hasn't been linear. There have been painful conversations, temporary estrangements, tearful reconciliations. The difference is that I now engage from a place of strength, not desperation. To the person watching who recognizes themselves in my story, the reliable one, the emotional ATM, the perpetual giver seeking approval that never comes, I want you to know something important. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Your worth isn't measured by what you provide. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do, for yourself and others, is to stand firmly in your truth. The diamond necklace I never gave became a symbol of my transformation. With the refund, I not only traveled to Europe, but also bought myself a small gold pendant inscribed with the words, "I am enough." I wear it daily as a reminder that no external validation can replace self-respect. My relationship with James has deepened through this journey. He's seen me at my most vulnerable and my most powerful. Recently, he remarked that I laugh more easily now, take up more space, speak with more conviction. "You're not shrinking yourself anymore," he observed. He's right. I spent decades making myself smaller, quieter, less needy, contorting myself to fit the role of perfect daughter. Now I stand tall in my authentic self. Last month, I started volunteering at a women's center, leading workshops on financial independence and healthy boundaries. Sharing my story has helped others recognize patterns in their own lives. The circle of healing expands beyond just me. Amber attended one of these workshops, a surprise that moved me deeply. Afterward, she hugged me and whispered, "I'm sorry it took me so long to see what was happening to both of us. The path forward isn't perfect. Old patterns sometimes resurface. Holidays can still be challenging. But now I navigate these waters with clarity and strength, no longer desperate for validation I couldn't earn." If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe. Drop a comment sharing your own boundary-setting journey. Remember, sometimes the greatest gift you can give yourself is the courage to say, "This is who I am. This is what I need. This is what I will accept." And that diamond necklace? I've never regretted canceling it. The sparkle of self-respect shines far brighter than any gem.